Hello everyone, back tuning into today's first video. We're doing JMA Friday for today's first video. As always on a Friday, we're having a look at the weather for the month ahead. And this is going to take us into the first half of November. So weather is turning more unsettled as we're heading into the middle part of October, and we'll see what the JMA and CFS V2 models are predicting for the rest of October and going into November as well. Today's second video update, which will be here on the homepage later on this afternoon, we'll be having a detailed look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. So we're going to start off by having a look at the JMA for the next month, and then we'll have a look at the CFS V2 and compare the two. But start off with, we've got the JMA 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period will take us from the 12th through to the 19th of October. Blue is extrapolating to below average heights, which is low pressure, and yellow, orange and red extrapolating to above average heights, which is high pressure. So we've got the North Pole view down. Of course, that's the North Pole of the Northern Hemisphere just there. We see it in the week ahead. We've got below average heights in the Atlantic, above average heights down to our south, and also extending into the eastern side of the country just there. The flow and the jet stream coming across the Atlantic, quite a strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic, doing something rather like that. So it is a more unsettled week coming up than what we've had for a while. Low pressure in the Atlantic is more dominant than it has been for some time. We do still have above average heights to our south and southeast, so there will be drier conditions at times in the south and southeast, and relatively mild conditions, at least to start off with winds coming up from the southwest. And then we're through into week 2, which takes us from the 19th through to the 26th of October. And this one is just looking unsettled, really. It's got a deep area of below average heights centred just to the north of Scotland. The above average heights are down to the southwest, kind of like to west of Spain and Portugal. Jet stream coming across the Atlantic like that. So it's an unsettled week. Jet stream's a little bit further south than it is in week 1, so it's probably a bit cooler as well. Cool and unsettled, I think, really sums it up, with bouts of rain moving in from off the Atlantic from the 19th to 26th of October. And then we're through to weeks 3 and 4, which takes us from the 26th of October to the 9th of November. And with this one, we have the below average heights again out to the west of the country, with above average heights to the east and to the northeast too. That means that the flow and the jet will be doing something rather like that. So still unsettled, still changeable at times. Remember, it's a 2-weekly anomaly, so it may be that week 3 is still unsettled, and then week 4 perhaps has a little bit more influence from this high pressure to the east, northeast, something like that. Never totally rule out a situation occurring like that in a 2-weekly anomaly, but over with very close to this area of below average heights, so we can expect it to still be unsettled, or possibly even very unsettled, as we go into the end of November, end of October, and the start of November. Right, so this is tropical and mid-latitude view. The British Isles is just here in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. A reminder of that week 1 500 millibar height anomaly. Again, we have the below average heights to the north up there. The above average heights are down to the south, and we're bringing the westerlies through rather like that. We also have some above average heights to the southeast, so pulling up some quite warm air from the southwest at times. Temperature anomaly is in the week ahead from the 12th to the 19th of October, are coming out above average, or warmer than average week, being predicted there for much of the UK and for much of Central Europe as well. While the precipitation anomaly is above average, so mild but wet in the week ahead, with above average rainfall coming up. Then we're into week 2, and this one takes us again from the 19th to 26th of October. We have the below average heights over and to the north of the country, above average heights down to southwest. Still unsettled. The only difference is that the jet stream is coming a little bit further southward. So the temperature anomaly is dropping. It's going cooler than average in this week from the 19th to the 26th of October. Quite clearly a cool down from week 1 to week 2. But it's still unsettled with precipitation anomalies above average once again. So essentially we go from mild and wet to cool and wet there from weeks 1 to weeks 2, and then we're into weeks 3 and 4, taking us from the 26th of October to the 9th of November with the below average heights out to the west, and the flow jet doing something a little bit like that. So let's have a look at the temperature anomaly. That's still forecast to be rather cool, really, rather below average for this 2-weekly period from the end of October into the early part of November. And precipitation-wise, it's still wetter than average as well. So rather cool, rather unsettled conditions continuing into the start of November with the JMA model today. If you enjoy the autumn temperatures being quite warm, then make most of the next week, because the rest of it does look pretty cool. And then we're on to the CFS V2, so we'll see how these charts are comparing. Again, these are 500 millibar heights. They're broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period will take us from the 12th through to the 18th of October. The coming week has below average heights to the west, to the northwest of the country, above average heights over to the east, and also to the south of the country, around there. And it means that the flow jet is going to be doing something a bit like that. So, very good agreement between the two models. It's an unsettled week ahead overall. The south and southeast is closest to the ridge, so it has the driest weather. Temperatures probably reasonably mild, maybe cooling down later. Then we're into week 2. This one takes us from the 19th to 25th of October. Below average heights are up to the north, above average heights down to the southwest. A little bit closer to us compared to where the JMA has that area of above average heights. Flow jet coming across the Atlantic like that. So not as unsettled in week 2, I don't think, compared to the JMA. There's more of a high pressure influence there. Not particularly warm, the air is coming from the northern part of the Atlantic, but it is more settled in week 2 compared to what the JMA is showing, with that high pressure closer to us. Week 3 looking like this. It's the 26th of October to the 1st of November, with the below average heights again up to the north, the above average heights down to the southwest, moving a little bit further away from us this time, which sends the flow jet on that sort of trajectory, probably turning a bit more unsettled and probably cooler as well, particularly in the north. And then finally we go through to week 4, which is the 2nd to the 8th of November. This one looking unsettled, below average heights, centred over slightly to the north of the country, above average heights pulling out into the middle of the Atlantic. Probably going quite cold as well, as the flow is going on to a northwest-southeast trajectory. So there will be some pretty chilly air being pulled into this trough from the north. Not really a suggestion of a northerly. You would have to move this high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic more towards Greenland that way. But nevertheless, probably quite a cool trough that, so cool and unsettled into the early part of November. Temperature anomalies in the week ahead are forecast to be warmer than average for England and Wales, close to average for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Week 2 temperature anomaly from the 19th to 25th of October. Forecast to be close to average, really, possibly hinting at being a bit above average, but let's say close to average in week 2. Week 3 temperature anomaly is 26th of October to 1st of November, also close to average. Notice many central parts of Europe are becoming cooler. And then week 4 temperature anomalies from the 2nd to the 8th of November. Look like they're cooling down, going a little bit cooler than average in that week. So gradually things are cooling down with the CFS V2 and turning more unsettled into the early part of November. And then finally, as far as precipitation is concerned, the rainfall anomaly, precipitation anomaly from the 12th to the 18th of October in the coming week, much wetter than average for many parts of the UK. A very unsettled week coming up, Ireland included in that as well. But then as that ridge builds to the southwest in week 2, 19th, 25th of October, southern parts of the country going a bit drier than average, but northern areas are still a little bit on the wetter than average side. So that one looks like it's gone a little bit wrong. So what I'm going to have to do is get the CFS charts up again, and I'll just get the weeks 3 and 4 charts uploaded for you. So this is what we want, weeks 3 and 4. Sorry about that. And we go through to the week 4 precipitation anomaly, which takes us from the 26th of October through to the 1st of November. And in week 3, we are close to average with precipitation. And then finally, week 4, which is the 2nd through to the 8th of November, that one is also coming out close to average, as the model, as it usually does in weeks 3 and 4 with precipitation, tends to lose its signal. So it looks like we're in for a rather changeable time of it. Really, temperatures a bit up and down. It looks like week 1, both models are in agreement that temperatures are going to be holding up okay, at least initially. But it is going to be an unsettled week. There'll be quite a lot of wet weather, particularly so for northern and western parts of the country. Now, as we go beyond that, we do have a little bit of disagreement there. But the broad pattern looks like it's basically high pressure to the southwest. And low pressure to the northwest, which brings a westerly flow through. So, at very least, quite changeable as we go into the end of October, inside of November. And probably turning a bit cooler as well. I think that's a trend that is within both of these models as we get through further towards the end of October into early November. Looks like things could be turning rather cooler as well, but still quite unsettled. So maybe a seasonably sort of chilly start to November, maybe some cool or even quite cold conditions possible around bonfire night. We'll have to see about that. Right, it's all experimental stuff, so it's not to be relied upon. These models could look very different next week. It's just a snapshot, basically, of what these two models are showing this morning, today, but it could all look completely different next week. Coming up this afternoon, we're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days in detail, so we'll see what's going on as we go further into October with the GFS, the ECM, and the GEM shorter range models. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.